Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are doing another houseplant. Well, it's not really a houseplant haul video. These are mostly plants I've been picking up since my last houseplant haul video. Whether it was me going out to the store and finding a plant I like, or it was a plant that was gifted to me. But what I wanted to do is obviously introduce them to you guys before we do another updated, complete houseplant tour video, which is probably going to take place in a couple of weeks from now. So I definitely want to give these plants a bit of airtime so that way we can talk a little bit about them. And for those of you guys who's been following me on Instagram, you probably have seen some of these plants in my stories, while a couple of them you haven't seen yet because I did pick them up this past weekend. One I've been kind of wanting for a while. I've been eyeing it for about the last year, and finally I pulled the trigger on it. So we'll talk about that plant near the end. There's about 8 plants here I'm going to show you guys, so definitely be prepared for about 8 tadas. Without further ado, we'll start with the first one. It is the Alocasia Regal Shield. So this guy I got about a couple of months ago. It was actually gifted to me, and I love alocasias. And if you guys recall, I had a giant Alocasia Regal Shield, exactly the same one as this, except it was huge, right? So I'll put a picture right here. And what I did with that last summer is I actually chopped it off and put it in dormancy because it was taking up a lot of room, and I definitely want to make a lot more space for my other plants. But honestly, I regret doing that still to this day, only because it was so beautiful. It was amazing. And I was actually trying to wake that bulb up by putting it in soil, making sure there's a lot of light, and then making sure that that soil was consistently moist. Unfortunately, it's not waking up, so I was really happy when I got this Alocasia Regal Shield because these plants are beautiful. I mean, the texture on the leaves, and so it has that shine to it as well. And I find alocasias are easy for me. You know, they're not like the philodendrons that I'm struggling with or the calatheas that are extremely dramatic, but I do know some people struggle with alocasias, primarily, you know, the browning of the tips and the edges, because I find with alocasias, you got to make sure that they are getting a lot of light, but also do not let that soil go completely dry, but also be mindful of not overwatering them as well. So you gotta need to find that balance. But yeah, I was so happy to get this Alocasia Regal Shield because honestly, my goal with this is try and get this guy to the size that I once had my Alocasia Regal Shield, and it was literally huge. So for now, it is still a baby one, but nonetheless, it's still beautiful. The next plant I got is the Peperomia Prostrata. So this guy, also known as a string of turtles, and you guys can see why. The pattern on those very delicate leaves looks like turtle shells, and it's so cool. It's a peperomia, and for those of you guys who have experience with peperomias, you'll know they typically like a lot of well, rich, but also airy soil, so mostly peat moss as well as perlite. And one thing I've learned when it comes to all my peperomias is whenever I repot them, they don't do well after. And I think what I'm realizing is they actually prefer to be a little bit more root bound and snug. That's just my experience in my, you know, in terms of like how they thrive in my home. And of course, they love to get a lot of bright indirect light. And I only water this guy when the soil is almost dry, not completely dry, because I find if you allow these guys to go completely dry and then you water them, I'm noticing that the leaves are dropping. With this guy, I gotta make sure that he doesn't go completely bone dry, and he's thriving. And the only reason why I know he's thriving is because of all those blooms you guys see there. So those tiny little sticks or look like rat tails, I guess, similar to like my Peperomia frost, but definitely a favorite peperomia of mine. And this is my second Prostrata. My first one was maybe a couple years ago. It was a tiny one. Again, what I've learned from that guy is allowing it to go completely dry, it just doesn't last, because I'm finding that these leaves are so delicate. So any type of shock or inconsistency with caring for them will make the leaves drop, right? So, but yeah, so this is the Peperomia Prostrata, and the next plant I want to introduce you guys to is the my Cebu Blue Pothos. So I've been wanting this plant for years, couple years, and I was trying to find this one last year, but I couldn't find it in the city. And I was so happy when my friend Natasha had a cutting to give me in exchange for some string of hearts cuttings I gave her. So it was really, really cool to, you know, get a free plant while trading for another one. So, and I had a lot of string of hearts to give, so I didn't mind. But this is a beauty. I just first of all, you guys know I love my pothos. You guys know everyone thinks they're basic, but I really, really love them. And so this Cebu Blue, definitely another one of my favorite pots. First of all, just that shine and that silvery blue tone to it. It's shown a new bit of growth right now. I repotted this to obviously my go-to soil medium when it comes to my pothos, which is cacti soil, regular potting soil, and a bit of perlite. And yeah, it's doing so well. So I'm really, really happy I got this. Obviously, it's not as lush and as big as like my neon pothos, pothos that you guys see here, but I'm confident by next year this guy's gonna be long and trailing, and I can't wait to start propagating this and make more of it. So next plant I want to show you guys is the silver satin Synapsis, also called the I guess satin pothos or the Synapsis pictus. But yeah, so this one has that silvery shine to it, has that cool pattern, and it is going to be my second Synapsis. I remember my first one, my second silver satin Synapsis. I remember my first one was probably during like my first year as a newbie, and yeah, it did not last long. So now that I have a bit more experience when it comes to Synapsis, obviously I got my pearl and jade one here that you guys see, as well as my Trubii. These guys are doing really well. I'm a little bit more confident in caring for this one again. I think what happened last time is, and this is what I'm noticing as you're kind of getting a little bit more experience, especially when you got so many plants, is inconsistent care and watering. I find that if I'm not consistent with some plants, they are very, very dramatic, right? So I noticed that with this plant last time, what happened was, again, I wasn't watering it consistently, even though, you know, you want to water it when the soil is almost dry, probably letting it dry out completely and then would water it. And then the next time I would water it like when it's not even completely dry. So that's what I mean by inconsistency. And plants like to be in a nice, stable, consistent environment for them to obviously settle down and get used to. That's why when you move a certain plant from like one location to another, they end up dropping leaves, because, you know, you move them from an environment they were comfortable in, that they were thriving in. So I am learning a bit more of that when it comes to some of my house plants, but still a baby one. And again, I want this guy to grow as big as my jade satin Synapsis right now. So the next plant I want to show you guys are obviously plants you've probably seen during my last houseplant shopping. It is the my Sansevieria Moonshine and Whalefin variegated. So these guys obviously I featured in my last houseplant shopping video. If you guys haven't checked that out, be sure to do so. And I love Sansevierias, and I was very attracted to the Moonshine, which I saw first, and then this variegated Whalefin. I already have like a regular Whalefin, but this Moonshine is stunning. And I remember when I first saw both of these guys, I knew there was no second guessing. If I wanted to take it home, I had to take these guys home. First of all, they're Sansevieria, so you guys know how easy it is to care for these guys, and they're so uniquely different to each other. And I actually took a poll on my Instagram, as well as I asked you guys on the community page on which team you guys prefer to be on, whether it was a team Moonshine or team variegated Whalefin. And I was surprised at the result. It was about 60% on the Moonshine and about 40% on the variegated Whalefin. I actually thought you guys would have been more into the variegated Whalefin, because I know Whalefins are also very hard to find, but so is the Moonshines, which is surprising. But nonetheless, I was really happy to find both of these guys on that same day. And yeah, it's so cool to add it to my Sansevieria collection. The next two plants I'm going to show you guys are plants I actually haven't featured, or you haven't seen them either on my Instagram stories or on YouTube. And that's because I went back to the store after I got these guys, because I knew those were the plants I also was thinking about. And I always do this. You know, how many times have you guys like walked away from a plant shop with the plants you wanted, and then next thing you know, you go back to that store and grab a few more that you wanted as well? So that's exactly what happened to me that weekend. So those two plants are the spider plant. You guys know I love spider plants. First of all, this is one of those basic plants that I think is not basic at all, because they're so cool looking. I love the variegated color on this particular spider plant. And if you guys remember, I had a big spider plant that had so many babies that shot out, and I ended up killing that plant because I neglected it last summer, when I went on a bit of a hiatus and I was distracted, and I left it outside and it eventually died. But when I saw this guy, I was like, you know what, I want a spider plant again, because first of all, they're so beautiful, they help clean the air, they're so easy to care for, and it does have a lot of childhood memories for me, because this was also my grandpa's favorite plant, I guess. This and the aloe, he had them around the house when I was a kid, and I would remember seeing them hanging by the window, and it just looked so cool. So I was really happy to find this guy. I think I paid $8 for this size, so there's about like 4 of them. Oh, I found this guy at IKEA, because I had to go grab a new faucet to, you know, replace one in my bathroom. So I found this at IKEA, and I was like, you know what, let me grab it for $8. There's about like 4 different plants in here. Very, very easy to care for. Again, a lot of bright indirect light, and these guys do like their roots to be a little bit more root bound. So I'm not going to repot this guy. I was thinking about repotting it, but maybe we'll do it when the season ends, just as we head into the winter. See how big he gets for now. But yeah, so the next plant I want to show you guys is a plant that actually I've also been eyeing for the last maybe year or two. I've never picked it up, and I don't know why, because I always check it out. I always am fascinated with it. I love the colors on it. It is the, ta-da, the Cissus Discolor. So this plant, if you guys remember at 21/7 Market, I wanted to grab one, and I was trying to find a smaller one, but I didn't find a smaller one. And eventually I ended up going back to 21/7 Market, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna grab it because I've been wanting this plant for a long time. I love the foliage on this guy, that green velvet silvery tone on its leaves and that nice pink burgundy back. You guys can leave these guys trailing down or get it climbing up on a moss pole or trellis. And you know, Nicole from Plant Pots and Whatnots just actually did a very detailed video on how to care for this plant. Well researched, so definitely check that out. I'll link it in the description below. And yeah, it was pretty cool. You know, hers is huge. The leaves on her Cissus Discolor is huge, so I know these guys can grow really, really big. And I think what I decided to do with this is actually put it on top of that bookshelf and let it hang and let it trail, you know, along with the Marble Queen pothos, because I do love trailing plants, and I'm so happy that I have this now in the collection. So yeah, so this is the Cissus Discolor. Alright guys, so those were some of the plants I wanted to quickly show you guys before we do our updated houseplant tour video in a couple of weeks. Comment below and let me know what you guys think of some of these plants. Do you have them in your collection? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Let me know. And that Macrophylla Hoya is looking at me right now because there is one leaf that is fully variegated, and it's so cool. I was gonna wait until the houseplant tour video, but it's so stunning right now. I'm gonna show you guys right now. Look at this guy. Look how beautiful that is. So stunning. And you know, when I first saw this plant, I thought it was like a yellow leaf, and I realized, wait, this is a brand new leaf. It looks so cool. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but because it's so beautiful, I had to show you guys, and you'll see more of that as well as the rest of the plants during the houseplant tour video. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.